Hey guys, what's going on? It's your old pal CHH here today. Now, if you're like me, you love a good horror documentary. You love to learn about your favorite horror movies and things that happen. And I figured, why not take the day and do a list of some of my all-time favorites? Some of these you may have seen before, but some of these are actually new. They just came out on Blu-ray that I'm really excited to talk about. Really quick, I want to give a bonus though. I was going through my Blu-rays to track some of these down, and one of my favorite recommends I gave last year was this movie called Alone. This movie rocked my socks. I got it as a blind buy off of Amazon. This comes from Magnet, which is a good label. They've put out a lot of cool movies. If you love a good movie about somebody being stalked and, you know, taken, Alone is the real deal. It should be a cheap blue if you haven't seen that. This is a easy blind buy. Trust me on that. That's a really good film. Alright guys, so when it comes to horror documentaries, there's a lot of great ones. And I want to start right here with the most basic ones you've probably seen, but I've gotten a lot of younger viewers that when I bring this up to them, they don't know what it is, and I keep saying, oh my god, you're gonna love this. First things first, probably one of the best ever. You gotta go with Crystal Lake Memories. This is the most comprehensive, rewatchable, which could sound weird, but yeah, this is so rewatchable, it's not even funny. It becomes like a friend to you, Crystal Lake Memories. It's a great companion with the book, although the book is still the GOAT, because it's a lot more honest still. They talk about how they all really hated each other making these films. But Crystal Lake Memories is fantastic. I can't put this over enough. It takes a long time to watch it. It's extremely comprehensive, and it's going to change you on one of these films. You're either going to become a bigger fan of, well, I would say less of a fan because all the films are awesome, but this documentary made me an even bigger fan of Part 5 because of how wild Danny Steinman was as a director, and I really even became a bigger fan of Part 5 after watching this, especially Jason Takes Manhattan. So this is a great documentary that's going to cover all of the films, all the way up to the remake, and yeah, this is just fantastic. I love it so much. I love it, love it, love it, love it so much. So, Crystal Lake Memories is just fantastic, and it's chock full of discs. You get bonus extended interviews. This was the very first release of this, which came with this disc, and then it stopped coming with that. Then there was this big thing about trying to get it later on, and it was worth money or something of that matter. I don't know. Anyway, the second companion to that is you gotta have Never Sleep Again, the most comprehensive A Nightmare on Elm Street documentary. Now, this is from 1428 Films as well. No, excuse me, this is RLJ. No, it's also 1428, excuse me. So 1428 Films did both of these. I'm biased. I think this one's even better, but I am a Nightmare on Elm Street fanatic. But I gotta say, this one is so freaking good. I think that Never Sleep Again is just as comprehensive. And again, it made me a much bigger fan of 5 beforehand. I love Nightmare on Elm Street 5. I know it's not the fan favorite, but what's really cool is they show how hard the director had to work in a 9-month period from Dream Master to the release of this film. Insanity. And a lesser man wouldn't have been able to even get the movie done, much less make it as good as I think it is. So this is fantastic. They really show you why they went the direction that they did with Freddy's Dead and going all the way with it, not half-assing that tone. And you know, they know that it's, you know, they don't hold any punches. They know the reception is the reception, but they talk about why they did it, how they did it, the drama behind Dream Warriors. It was this crazy shoot. Yeah, so Never Sleep Again is about as good as it gets too. I highly recommend both these. You can't have one without the other. Yeah, but this one's so rewatchable, it's not even funny. I don't have the Blu-ray of this, but if you have the Scream Factory Blu-ray of this, or if you have the new 4K from Scream Factory, More Brains, Return of the Living Dead. This never came out on Blu-ray in America by itself, so if you want to have this, in high definition, mind you, get the 4K of Return of the Living Dead, because it's got this. More Brains is a feature-length documentary on Return of the Living Dead. Now, this DVD features the two 30-minute documentaries on both Return of the Living Dead Part 2 and Part 3. If you want the Part 2 documentary, get the Scream Factory Blu-ray for Return of the Living Dead 2. And for Part 3, that's on YouTube. I don't think that is actually on the Vestron DVD, the Vestron Blu-ray. Or you can get the DVD of this, More Brains, and you'll get all 3 documentaries on here. But feature-length Probably one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. It's so great because they put little cartoon segments in between the talking stuff that aids in the stories, and they don't hold any punches in this either. It's very honest about how crazy Dan O'Bannon was. So More Brains is a must. You got to see that one. All these are musts. So the next one, I'm actually showing the 4K for Fright Night, but if you get the Blu-ray for Fright Night, that should still be readily available. There's a documentary on here called You're So Cool, Brewster. This is the special features disc that's going to have it. You're So Cool, Brewster is a feature-length documentary on Fright Night. A film, if you saw the last You Need a Horror podcast, it's criminal wasn't in that top 100 list, but rest assured, when I make my list, you're damn right Fright Night's going up in there. But and nonetheless, the documentary for Fright Night is insane. You're So Cool, Brewster is so good. I love that movie with all my heart, and the documentary just makes me an even bigger fan of it. They go through everything with Tom Holland, Chris Sarandon. It's so freaking good. You're So Cool, Brewster. So that's a documentary you can get from the 4K Steelbook, which you need this. This is one of my favorite releases from last year. Or get the Blu-ray, or you can get the documentary on Blu-ray, I believe, if you want it by itself. But my safest thing is get the 4K of this. Next is one of my all-time favorites as well. This comes from 1993. This came out on Blu-ray, I believe, 2 years ago. Reflections of the Living Dead. Now, when it comes to Night of the Living Dead documentaries, to me, there is only one. I mean, there's more than one, but don't get me wrong. For me, there's only one, and that's Reflections of the Living Dead. Because they get everybody to talk about this movie. They get Wes Craven, Tobe Hooper, all of them. And this is from the 90s. So they're all young and vibrant, and they remember things really well. But this is so good. Everybody's involved in this. This is one of my all-time favorite documentaries ever. Reflections of the Living Dead is the real deal. And it's like, I can almost enjoy watching this more than watching the movie itself, because it really just shows you how much it changed the world, and how much it, without Night of the Living Dead, you wouldn't have had Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And that's from Tobe Hooper himself in this. Tobe Hooper said, watching Night of the Living Dead inspired me to change the world, because that's what Night of the Living Dead did. But it's super comprehensive. Sam Raimi, everybody who is anybody is involved in this, because they all said, no, I've got to be a part of talking about Reflections of the Living Dead. Amazing documentary. It's probably, this could be my favorite documentary of all time. It truly could. I can't put over Reflections of the Living Dead enough. I adore it with so much, just so much. I love it. So this is on Amazon. This is not one you're going to want to miss. Love this documentary, I swear to God. So I've got to pick up the sequels to this, but yeah, Cursed Films from Shudder is probably the best thing that they've done. They really put some effort into these, and it's great. And it's so nice that they actually got Richard Donner in here before he passed away to talk about The Omen. And it shows me that there was a lot of crazy stuff that went on back then making these films. There's a Cursed Films 2 that's really good. I'm going to pick up the Blu-ray for that. I need to get Cursed Films 2 on Blu-ray, but these are all money. As soon as these come out, pick them up. They're on Shudder, but if you're a physical media person like me and you want to own these are fantastic. They really tell you the truth about Poltergeist. You know, they set the record straight on there. So, Cursed Films is fantastic. For all my Pet Sematary fans, you cannot go wrong with this great one. Unearthed and Untold, the story of Pet Sematary. The Path of Pet Sematary. Mary Lambert's involved in this. She really goes over every detail of this film. Her dealings with Stephen King. How hard it was to film the funeral scene, which is the most brutal thing for me in Pet Sematary. It's the only thing I really have trouble watching is the funeral scene. It's just so uncomfortable. But Unearthed and Untold is about as good as a documentary you can get for Pet Sematary. They leave no stone unturned on this. It's really good. This comes from Synapse Films, by the way. So this is fantastic, Unearthed and Untold. If you're a Pet Sematary fan, this is a 1,000% must. It's not even a question of having it. So Unearthed and Untold is the best Pet Sematary documentary you can ever want to see. I'm actually going to include a Blu-ray in this, because it's the only way to have this documentary. One of my favorite B-movies of all time now is Spookies. When this came out from Vinegar Syndrome, I picked it up and fell in love with it. It's such a good creature feature, but it's such a great, fun, bad movie. But more importantly is the documentary on here, because this movie didn't start out as Spookies. This movie started out as something called Twisted Souls. Got bought, turned into this crazy thing, got re-edited. The story's crazy, but I actually recommend watching the movie first, then seeing the documentary, and knowing how crazy it all went down. It's a hell of a documentary, and Vinegar Syndrome did a fantastic job making this. So yeah, Spookies, get that Blu-ray, and then watch the documentary. This comes from Synapse again, Just Desserts. This is such a good Creepshow documentary. This came out in like 2007 or something. It was filmed in 2007, I think, but it came out in 2016 on Blu-ray from Synapse. If you are a Creepshow fan, you're going to learn every single thing about this. Everybody was alive during this, so this is one of the best. Just Desserts is fantastic. I love Just Desserts. Sometimes I want to watch this instead of watching Creepshow, because it vibes just like Creepshow as well. The documentary does. It's got the same exact vibe. So if you love the Creepshow vibe, the documentary is going to give it to you. It's just as well, quite frankly. Yeah, this is one hell of a documentary, Just Desserts. All right, for some new ones now, I'm going to save the best for last. Next up, we've got Pennywise, the story of it. If you get this, you'll get the slipcover on Amazon. Everybody asks me about this. You people in these damn slipcovers. But yeah, Pennywise, the story of it is one hell of a documentary. Tim Curry really sets the record straight on this film. A lot of the cast is in here, if not all of the cast is in here. They really talk about their roles, how much fun they had. Tommy Lee Wallace really breaks down directing this film, which I have so much more respect for him now after seeing this and all the work that went into it. It's unbelievable. And Tommy Lee Wallace is really just now starting to get the credit as a director. And this is one hell of a documentary. You're gonna love this. You're gonna love Pennywise, the story of it. It's fantastic. Last and certainly not least, one of my all-time favorite documentaries ever. It really is. Tom Savini, Smoke and Mirrors, the story of Tom Savini. And yes, if you buy this off Amazon, you'll get this. I post about this on Instagram. The only question I get is, will I get the slip if I order off of Amazon? It is a really cool slipcover. I'm being half serious. But you people love these damn slipcovers. But yeah, here it is. Smoke and Mirrors, the Tom Savini story. Chances are you've probably seen this around floating on Tubi. I think it's actually on Full Moon Features as well, because Tom gave Charles Mann a DVD of it to stream. But Smoke and Mirrors is one of the best because the story itself is incredible. Tom Savini's story is amazing. There's no other way to put it. His story is absolutely amazing of the things he did and went through in his life, with Vietnam and working in the theater and being broke, and then being a father, but being somewhat absent as a father because he was always working. It's an interesting story that really shows what it takes to be somebody in the movie business and the sacrifices you have to go through. And this is fantastic. I do recommend getting Tom Savini's latest book, his picture book, which is fantastic, going over his career. But this is going to be one, if you're a fan of 80s horror, if you're a fan of 80s horror, you're a fan of Tom Savini. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And if you're a fan of Tom Savini, you're going to be a fan of Smoke and Mirrors. Get this off Amazon now, and I promise you'll get your slipcover, people. I had 10 people ask me about this yesterday. It is cool, though. I'll give it to you guys. But there it is, guys. Tom Savini's Smoke and Mirrors, the only way to end this documentary video. One of the best. One of the absolute best. And there's actually special features on here that you won't get. Like Tom Savini's personal videos from directing Night of the Living Dead 1990. A lot of his behind-the-scenes personal archive stuff that they put on here that you're not going to get if you stream it. So it's actually really worth it getting this, to be honest with you. So those are some horror documentaries I absolutely love, guys. If you have any you'd like to add down below for the people, especially if it's on physical media, drop it and we could share it, and maybe for me, because I love a good horror documentary. So there it is, guys. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, let me know down below. See you guys next time. Thank you to all of my Patreon supporters who make videos like this possible. To get behind-the-scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you very much.